Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This is Newton's third law of motion. Isaac Newton announced the same confidently as early as 1687 itself. However, it has taken the world a 20-year-long war on Afghanistan to realize the same. Newton's law has been proven right yet again. The United States waged a war on Afghanistan in 2001 following the 9/11 attack. 20 years later, the Taliban is back in power in Kabul. A cruel form of Sharia law has been imposed across Afghanistan. Thousands are stranded in the war-torn country, and the Biden administration has made a clown of itself with its desperate evacuation campaign, which should have ideally been a mere withdrawal. America's allies have realized that they cannot trust the Biden administration. Leading this understanding is Japan. Hi and welcome. This is TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I am your host Sanbir Ranhotra, and in this video I will tell you how Japan is now rethinking its alliance with the United States after Joe Biden's hasty Afghanistan exit. Let's begin. Japan has been caught off guard. With the fall of Afghanistan to the Taliban, Japan finds itself relying on other countries to rescue its citizens from Kabul. The United Kingdom has helped Japan in such a time of crisis, when Joe Biden's catastrophic pullout from Afghanistan has imperiled the lives of thousands of people from varying nationalities, mostly from countries which are seen as America's allies. At his inaugural address, Joe Biden had said, "We will repair our alliances and engage with the world once again. We will lead not merely by the example of our power, but by the power of our example. We will be a strong and trusted partner for peace, progress, and security." All such positive talk has been reduced to dust and exposed as hogwash. The United States of America, under the leadership of Joe Biden, is not even being able to decently evacuate its own citizens from Afghanistan. To expect the Biden administration to even try and take care of citizens from other nations is simply wishful thinking at its vivid best. The selfishness of the Biden administration has begun having unforeseen consequences, and taking the lead of cutting down reliance on America is Japan. According to a report by Nikkei Asia, although Japan's alliance with the US will continue to underpin Tokyo's security policies moving forward, recent developments have sparked a debate within the ruling LDP that Japan, like Afghanistan, has perhaps relied too heavily on a US military presence and needs to grow independent of America. The report added that since the Taliban was last forced out of power in 2001, Japan has contributed roughly 700 billion yen or $6.38 billion to US-led reconstruction efforts in Afghanistan. It also conducted missions to refuel US vessels in the Indian Ocean until 2010. Still, it was slow to respond to the Taliban's advance on Kabul, and neither did the US come to its aid when Tokyo needed it the most. This has forced many within the Japanese government and ruling party to rethink their policy towards the United States, especially for as long as it is under Joe Biden's rule. If the United States could not help Japan in Afghanistan, there is very little which Tokyo can expect out of the Biden administration in the East China Sea against China and in support of either Taiwan or the Senkaku Islands. Now, Japan will be focusing on building up indigenous capabilities in order to deal with contingencies of all kinds on its own, without having to look up to other countries for help. Already, Japan has taken the lead in global activism for Taiwan's freedom and security, and now Tokyo will certainly ramp up efforts to cut down on dependence on the United States. What will further motivate Japan to build up its own capabilities is the fact that Joe Biden last week, in an interview with ABC News, committed to intervening militarily if China were to invade Taiwan or mount offensives against Japan and South Korea. Soon, however, the White House backtracked on such comments of the president and said Biden misspoke on the issue of Taiwan. This has certainly shattered the morale of America's allies, and Japan particularly will be convinced that it cannot bank on the Biden administration to come to its help during a crisis. Japan has effectively made it clear that it does not trust the Biden administration. Therefore, it is carving an independent path for itself, especially when it comes to the Taiwan issue. As reported by TFI in July, Japan effectively abandoned the One China policy as it showed Taiwan as a separate and free entity from China in its annual defense white paper. In this year's white paper, Taiwan is completely grayed out from the map of China and its combat theater commands. In previous defense white papers, Japan had displayed the island nation as a part of China. Japan has also committed to militarily protecting Taiwan along with the United States if China were to launch an invasion against the democratic island nation. The USA's failure in Kabul, facilitated by Joe Biden, serves as a wake-up call for America's allies across the globe. Biden's fiasco in Afghanistan has put Taiwan in a fix, which now faces a grave existential threat from a belligerent China. Japan seems to have learnt a lesson, which is why it is beginning to have discussions on the country's over-reliance on the United States and how the same can be cut down.